hello, and welcome to the Coaxum Report. This is Terry Coaxum, and today I am so delighted to be joined by Mr. Bootcamp Fitness himself, Redline 360 Fitness, Mr. Jeff Sinez. And Jeff, I have you. You're outside on these streets doing your fitness thing.
I'm
It is
outside on
always,
these streets.
always a pleasure. So, Jeff, and before we get into it, I just want our listeners to know that they can join us on Android TV, Apple TV, Roku. They can also download the app and catch us each week on OurTV.network. So I want to talk to you a little bit, Jeff, about your business, about 360 Fitness and what that's about. Like, what made you go to this point? I mean, this is a billion-dollar industry. We're all trying to get healthy, including me. So tell me a little bit about who you are and how long you've been on this journey and what you're doing to change generations, not just our lifetime, but generations.
So my name is Jeffrey Sidnez. I'm a former owner of Bootcamp Fitness NYC. It was once located on 172 Flatbush Avenue. Um, you couldn't miss it. It was on the corner right in front of the
Seems like we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. That's what happens when you come live. So Jeff is just paused on our TV, and I'm sure he'll be back, and they'll let him back in.
Got it.
There we go. You're back. You're back. Talk to us. So you're talking about your location was at 172 Flatbush.
Correct. So the location was at 172 Flatbush Avenue. What made it special was a sense of community.
Yeah.
I go to a lot of gyms. I've been part of a lot of gyms. I've been part of New York Sports Club. I've been part of Crunch, uh, Park Slope Sports Club. I've been part of Brooklyn Health and Racket, right? And what you notice is that whenever community was established within the facility, there seemed to be a more sense of we have to get this done. Like
That's right.
we're here for business, right? It's not.
Right.
I mean, we're here for play too, but people tend to take it more serious, and they became more competitive.
That's
When
right.
people were divided and they were standing on their own, you'll see a sense of a lot of times it was like the people who didn't know exactly what to do in the fitness facility tend to be by themselves, whereas they should have joined the community, right? So the results was different. So when we had the boot camp location, we did 5 classes, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and 5 classes on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. It was 10 separate programs. Within the 10 programs, we made it very competitive. We had up to 30 people in the room at one time. At some points, we actually, legally, we was only supposed to have 30, but we pushed it. Sometimes we had 35, sometimes we had 40, because people just wanted to get in at its height, of course. So um, that was the
So this
key.
community piece is your secret sauce. But I want to go back a little bit because I want to know why fitness, right? So it's clear to me, first of all, full disclosure, I was a part of Boot Camp Fitness from the beginning, right?
Yes, she was.
I joined Boot Camp Fitness, and I'm competitive. I'm a competitor. So any competition they had, I was in there, lose weight, get to it, all that, right? But
All that.
why fitness, right? Why fitness? Why are we thinking about fitness? Post COVID put a real spotlight on why our health is truly our wealth, right?
Uh-huh.
And so you've been in this industry for what, 3 decades now?
At
More than
least,
that?
well, 25 years.
25 years,
25 years.
almost
Yeah,
3 decades, right? So
almost
you've
three.
been doing this a long time. And I remember when you first started out, you were doing it with young people. You wanted to focus on the young people before they got into unhealthy habits, right? And you even
Correct.
did stuff over at Eagle Academy with the young people. But why
Correct.
fitness? Why are you in this fitness field? Why are you doing this? What is your passion? And how are you doing? Because I want to talk about barriers, but before I can get to barriers, Jeff, I want to talk about why you're doing what you're doing on these streets, as far as fitness is concerned.
Got you. So when I want to say not, no, actually, I was about 2021, right? I started having these really bad anxiety attacks.
Hmm.
I had no idea what anxiety was at the time. No idea whatsoever. So to me, it felt like a heart attack,
Oh wow.
right? But I was having them like the average person would probably have maybe maybe one a week. I was having
Right.
like two, three, four, five within a week. Um,
Wow.
what also made it tough for me was that at the time I was working security at Macy's Herald Square,
Right.
and every single time they would call on the radio for backup, right? It's not somebody saying back up at this store, back up. No, they're like back up, back up, back up. So just that alone had became a trigger for me,
Mm.
and it would just set me off. Before I knew it, I got laid off because I spent more time going out in ambulances than I did anything else.
Right.
So it was a sunny day like today, right? A mutual friend of mine who was my next door neighbor had gotten married to a gentleman from St. Lucia. Um, I saw him in front of the house, and he came and he called me. He said, "What's wrong with you?" Because he saw the look on my face. And I said to him, "Look, man, I'm having these bad heart palpitations. Like I don't know what's going on." And he told me, "Look, come with me. I'm going to introduce you to somebody." I said, "Who's that?" He said, "There's a gentleman by the name of Baba Pearson." So I said, "Okay, let's go." So we went looking for this guy. He was a herbalist, right? And we couldn't find him at the time. So we left, and the next day I came in again. I didn't see him again. Third day I came in, and then finally he was there, and he looked at me. I told him everything that was happening, everything that was going on, and he says to me, "There's nothing wrong with you." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Just calm down. There's nothing wrong with you." From that point, I stopped eating meat. At the time, I had became a vegetarian. I wasn't vegan, right? I'm not gonna lie. I became a vegetarian. Not gonna lie. I was eating fish and eggs, right? But I wasn't eating any kind of meat, right? The only
Right.
product I was eating was eggs, of course, right?
Right.
So I was at 275 pounds at the
Right.
time. I
Right.
was in really bad shape. So I went from 275 and I dropped down to 190 pounds. Never worked out.
Wow.
Never worked
Just
out.
just by changing a diet. Just by
Just by
changing it.
changing diet alone.
Wow.
I never worked
Wow.
out, right? And then I didn't know what I had planned next. So I was asked by somebody, well, I was told by somebody, well, if you can do this for yourself, if you can help yourself lose weight, maybe you can help somebody else.
Right. You put the
And
oxygen mask on you first, and then you can
yeah,
help the
so
community.
that
Right.
just set everything off. That set me
Right.
off on the right track, right path. I was able to meet some fantastic people on this journey, some top-notch key trainers, right? I
Mhm.
went to fitness conventions, and then eventually I had met my business partner, Darren, and then look, we started boot camp.
Right. And you started boot camp before boot camp was popular, before anyone knew what boot camp was. I remember the boot camp being one of the only ones here in New York City for a long time in the area, in the county of Kings, of course, and everything starts
Correct.
in Brooklyn, right?
Correct.
But at that time, like you said, your secret sauce was community. Your secret sauce was, when we went into boot camp, my thing was every day was different. Every day we had a different routine. You never went into the same thing more than one time. And so that for me was great because I didn't want to think about the routine. I wanted to see results and I wanted to come in, I wanted to train hard, be competitive, because that's what we do, and then leave feeling like I accomplished something. And so that's what it was for me. But a couple of things that you stepped on really kind of set the tone for where we're going to go in the show today. One was your health is your wealth, right? So you
Correct.
literally put your oxygen mask on first. You had to first see what was going on with yourself, and you realized if these heart palpitations, which ended up being anxiety, was a problem or for you, then it was a problem for a lot of community members. And I know one time we had a conversation about our own families, making sure our family was healthy because that was a huge thing, us getting healthy and our family getting healthy because we do want to leave this legacy behind. And so thank you so much for being transparent and sharing that story with us. Another thing you talked about is you know, not taking on your eating, taking on your consumption, right? So there's two things that you've already told us. that we need to do to make sure that we're staying healthy. One of them was your eating, right? So one of
Correct.
them was making sure that you are eating to live and not living to eat, right? And the
Correct.
second one, of course, was working out, which is what boot camp was all about. And the third one I'm going to add is sleep. Because there's no way for you to restore your body unless you're actually getting the proper amount of sleep. If you're working out and you're training, you need to make sure you're drinking as much water as you possibly can, and of course sleeping. So now you're here, right? So now you got boot camp. Boot camp fitness, it was successful for a while, and then you transitioned to other things, helping with the football team over at Eagle, doing those things, helping with the young people in the park, and still doing. Now you're here. You are Mr. 360.
Mr. 360.
Mr.
Mr. 360.
360. Tell me what
But
that looks like. Like, first of all,
so
there's barriers to this thing, right?
so yes. So what happens is the 360 degrees, right, is really about the totality of your fitness experience, right?
Right.
Which incorporates lifestyle.
That's right.
It incorporates self-care. It incorporates sleep. It incorporates movement, which is
That's
what
right.
we know as fitness, right? It incorporates proper diet and nutrition, right? So that's what the 360 is fully about. And just to give you a hint, I tell this to people all the time, right? There's eating and there's digesting. Just because
Mhm.
you're eating, it doesn't mean that you're fully digesting everything,
Okay.
right? So digestion starts to take place in the mouth first,
Right.
right? By chewing your food. That's why your teeth is important. Then your tongue is important because it's mixing the food with the saliva, which is coming out of your salivary glands, right? Once you swallow that food and it's properly broken down in your mouth, right? The acid in your stomach will start to break the food down some more, right? Into vitamins, minerals, nutrients, right? That now gets absorbed into the intestinal tract. And from the intestinal tract is where you actually really deal with digestion. Because
Uh-huh.
cellular digestion is the most important part, right? And that's based on the amount of nutrients from the soil, which came from the ground. So everything comes from the ground, right? So a healthy planet, in other words, a healthy planet is part of a healthy civilization. So
Right.
we can't go around just destroying the planet and thinking that, you know what, everything is going to be in our favor. No, no, it's not. Right? You have people now that are selling genetically modified plants or fruits and vegetables, which are seedless at that, right? Which has no nutrients to it, but we're digesting it. Why? Because it's something that looks good, it tastes good. No, it's not giving you the proper nutrition that your body actually needs to function properly, right? So that's super important. You can, like I told somebody before, you can lose a pound a day, and it's very simple. I just want to give this technique out, right? If you write down every morning and every night how much you weigh, just write it down, right? And you consume 3 meals per day, 3 hours apart. You make sure that the meat, if you're eating meat, it's the size of the palm. I got to get this right. Size of the palm of your hand,
Yeah, my palm ain't that big, so
right? Don't make
I should be eating the same portion of food that you're eating, right?
it, right? It's the size of the palm of your hand, right? Make sure you consume your vegetables, right? Your fruits are cleansers, vegetables are builders. Very important to know, right?
Wait a minute, hold on. Yeah.
Fruits are cleansers,
Uh-huh.
vegetables are builders. So fruits
Okay.
clean the body out, vegetables rebuild the body,
Okay.
right? So have a cup of vegetables, right? Because you need three components to make a meal: a carbohydrate, a fat, and a protein,
Uh-huh.
right? So your carbohydrate is your vegetables. Your fat, I always tell people my best choice is to use olive oil. I put olive oil on everything,
I
but a
can't.
lot of
I
times
don't
I
like
don't
olive
heat
oil.
it up, right? I will put it in like a small jar or small cup, and I would mix it with lemon. I would put salt, pepper, right? Vinegar, mix that
Okay,
and pour it over
you
my
making us.
dressing.
Yeah, that's a dressing. So that now
Just
that olive oil I'll eat. I don't really like taking olive oil directly. Mm-mm.
Look, you can take that without heating it up. You heat up your vegetables, right? You steam your vegetables and you pour the olive oil mixture on top of it. Salt,
Mhm.
pepper, olive oil by itself. You can put that on steamed vegetables. It tastes fantastic, right? I guarantee you, if you eat like that 3 times a day, 3 hours apart, and give yourself a 15-hour fast, meaning a fasting window from the time you start eating to the time you stop eating. I guarantee you, by the time you wake up the next morning, you look at the scale, you will drop 1 pound a day. I've done it several times. I'm actually currently doing it now on Facebook,
Wow.
but my scale dropped. My scale broke. I'm sorry. The devil's in the detail. The devil's in it. He don't want me to push through, but that's all right. We're gonna get another scale.
That's right. That's right. So what I hear you saying is that your experience has really driven you to where you are in your fitness journey, right?
Yes,
So your experience in the totality of it all, right? So the 360 is 360 degrees is complete transformation, right?
complete transformation,
So in this
mind, body, and
complete
soul.
That's right. And it's complete transformation. You just gave up a couple of nuggets. So again, those of you that just tuned in, this is the Coaxum Report. You can catch us on Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV, Roku, and you can also download the app at www.ourtv.network. And you can also join us on the radio at WSTX Bloomberg. So we're talking to fitness guru Jeffrey Sidnez. And Jeff is a former owner of Bootcamp Fitness and the current owner of Redline 360 Fitness, New York City. And so we were talking a little bit about our health being our wealth and the journey that Jeff has taken to get to where he is, where he's transforming lives every single day here in New York and across the world because he's sharing his social media experience with individuals that would not have access to him otherwise. And so I want to thank you for that. So Jeff gave us a lot of great nuggets about how he got to where he is. He first started off by talking about health being our wealth. So he talked about a healthy body, a healthy mind, a healthy soul. And he gave his own example of how he was facing anxiety and how he was able to change the game in that by just changing what his eating habits, right? So changing his eating habits, changing his movement is what he call it. We call it working out, right? Changing what he was doing. And then how boot camp's secret sauce was actually community. And that's one thing that I want to say to all business owners. If you're looking to open up a business in the community, make sure you understand your community. Make sure you're including your community because your community will be your best asset, especially if you're looking to plant yourself in a space that you're able to continue to grow and continue to build. Then Jeff started talking to us a little bit about just a real life lesson in writing down your meals, just a simple technique that he uses to make sure that he is changing the game with his weight loss transformation by writing down his meal every morning and every night, getting on a scale in the morning, getting on a scale at night, making sure you have your carb, your fat, and your protein. This is not medical advice. Please seek any medical advice from your
Yeah,
doctor if you're looking to do any of these things. But this is just Jeff's testimony of how he got to where he is. Now, Jeff, I want to back up a little bit because we didn't really talk about the barriers to entry, right? What are some of the barriers that you had to face being a business owner in the fitness industry? There's a lot of people that I'm sure that are listening today that are interested in training or some form of health and wellness. And so just you giving us an example of some of the barriers that you may have had to face to get to where you are is going to be key to helping them understand that they too can start a fitness business, be successful, transforming lives in their lifetime. So, what are some of the barriers to access in your business as a small business owner in the health field?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that question because it froze?
Yes. So, I was asking you for some of the barriers, any of the barriers that you face being a business owner in the health and wellness and fitness field. What are some of the barriers that you face here in New York City being a business owner?
So, to be quite honest, and I mean this sincerely, I didn't really face any barriers, right? If I had to choose one, it's being around the right people,
Uh huh.
right? Making sure everybody has the same vision. But other than that, I can't say that I had any kind of barrier for the simple fact that it's health and fitness is really about a genuine love for people. a genuine commitment to making sure that people live the best lives that they could possibly live while here on Earth, right? From the time they come across or come into contact with you till the time they move on, and just one day you're just receiving letters and text messages saying thank you, right? For all that you've done for me because you've changed my life. So that's I would because of that level of commitment, I don't think there's any barriers for anyone who really wants to get into this thing. Um, First, I would say start off with yourself, right? Know thyself, know what your vision is for whatever it is you're trying to do, and take it from there. Like don't let no stop you,
Okay. And no
right?
also
Don't let
oftentimes turn into a
um
yes anyway. So no is just an introduction to get to yes. So I want to back up though because what you're really talking about now is so key to being a small business owner, right? So I want to back up. You froze for a minute, but I want to back up. When we talked about barriers, you said you didn't really have any barriers. Just be true to yourself, be unique, don't take no for an answer, be consistent,
exactly,
be committed, right? That's a
exactly,
best practice in my opinion. That really is a best practice to staying in a health and wellness field because you understand thyself, right? You understand, you know why you're here. You have a commitment to this thing, and so you push through. A lot of my small businesses that come on, they talk about barriers, being gender equity. They talk about barriers being access to capital. They talk about barriers being making sure that there is consistent business or that there is a business plan in place. Some of the barriers that they've experienced, those are some of the barriers that they've experienced. And I am delighted that you haven't faced any of those barriers. And so I want to say to anybody that's listening today, if you're looking to start your own health and wellness business, if you want to be a trainer, Jeff is the model to follow, right? Because he stands here 25 plus years in, and he's been doing it strong, and said, really the secret sauce that he's explaining is being true to yourself, being committed to your vision, understanding your vision, and being committed to your community, and also understanding how you can change a game and make transformation, a total 360 transformation. So this is really some good nuggets that you're giving to us about 360 fitness and how you're able to take your client to the next level. So what are there any other best practices that you'd like to share with the listening audience?
well, it's simple. Just be true. Be true to yourself. Be true to your business, and believe. You must believe, and you should know that if you're doing everything that you're supposed to do, your clients will find you. You don't have to find your clients. Your clients will
Mm,
find you, right? Because every single person that you get in contact with is supposed to be they're supposed to have an example of you, a verbal example of you, a verbal example of your commitment, your generosity, a verbal example of how genuine you are, and they're supposed to be able to express that to somebody else, and then that somebody else, once they come in contact with you, will have the same thing, and before you know it, you'll go from how we went from 15 in a class to 35 in a class,
right.
right?
And that's word of mouth. And word of mouth is
Just word
still
of mouth,
the
word of mouth,
best. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Word of mouth is still the best thing. Like, when I'm looking for a doctor for baby Andrew, I'm asking friends, right? And so if they tell me that this pediatrician is the best one, then that's the pediatrician that I'm looking for. I don't care about him not having certain whatever. If they're telling me that this is the person that can care for my child, then that's the person that I'm looking for. So that word of mouth is still very, very powerful despite influencers, right? So your
Right.
work, so what you're saying to me is that you have a circle of influencers. Every business owner has this. And I need you to understand this, that you all have a circle of influence based on your work, right? And that's why we're always doing more than what we're paid for, because that circle of influence is opening us up to other key clients down the line, or business partners or investors, right? This circle of influence. I mean, I know silly how time flies and we're having fun. We got to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back. We're going to talk about this circle of influence that we're going to be able to share with the listening audience. We're going to take a commercial. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Having an issue with your bank?
What?
Did your credit card company close your account without warning? Did an online merchant refuse to send your purchase after they took your money? Know your rights as a consumer. Here's what you can do to file a complaint. As soon as you are aware of a problem, contact the customer service staff at your financial institution or merchant to make them aware of the issue. This is typically the fastest way to resolve your complaint. If that doesn't resolve the problem, you should reach out to the appropriate regulatory agency to file a complaint. The Federal Reserve Consumer Help Center experts and website can answer your questions about how to file a complaint against a bank or other institution. The FRCH website can also help you find the regulator for your financial institution. Depending on the type of institution you have a complaint against, the agency will differ. For complaints about federally insured state-chartered bank members of the Federal Reserve System, contact federalreserveconsumerhelp.gov. Specialists can direct you to the agency that regulates your institution, such as the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, the Federal Housing Finance Agency. The National Credit Union Administration would get complaints about credit unions. And for complaints about an online merchant, contact the Federal Trade Commission. The list of regulated entities these federal agencies oversee is also available at federalreserve.gov/consumercommunities/agency. For more information about how to file a consumer complaint, please visit the link in this post.
For 10 years, the Survey of Household Economics and Decision-Making has tracked the economic well-being and financial conditions reported by U.S. adults and their families. The survey collects data on how people feel about their family's finances to help understand the effects of broader economic trends over time. Conducted in October 2022, the latest survey reveals that 73% of adults were doing at least okay financially, meaning they reported either doing okay or living comfortably. The share of adults doing at least okay financially in 2022 was down 5 percentage points from 2021 and was among the lowest observed since 2016. This decline in well-being aligns with broader economic conditions during fall 2022, including inflation and stock market declines. In economically challenging times, relatively small, unexpected expenses such as a car repair or a modest medical bill can be a hardship for many families. When faced with a hypothetical expense of $400, 63% of all adults in 2022 said they would have covered it exclusively using cash, savings, or a credit card paid off at the next statement, referred to altogether as cash or its equivalent. The share who would pay using cash or its equivalent was down 5 percentage points from 2021 and back at its 2019 level. Consistent with widespread experience of higher prices in the prior year, most adults said that price increases had affected their family budget. Adults with incomes under $100,000 were more likely to say their family budget was affected a lot by rising prices, compared to adults with higher incomes. Black and Hispanic adults, parents living with children under 18, and those with a disability were also more likely to indicate that their budget had been affected a lot by higher prices. Most people took action in response to higher prices, especially through changing spending. The most common adjustments were using less or stopping using products, as well as switching to cheaper alternatives. Just above 1/2 of respondents reduced savings. Increasing borrowing, working more, and asking for a raise were less common strategies. These survey findings provide insight into the wide range of financial opportunities and challenges facing U.S. families at the time of the survey. More information is available in the report on the economic well-being of U.S. households in 2022. To view or download this year's full report and downloadable survey data, visit federalreserve.gov/consumerscommunities/shed.
I used to watch BET, MTV, VH1, now I watch Tempo. Soca, Calypso, Reggae Dancehall. Don't stall, better get tuned in to the tempo. Don't have cable, they got an app. Go to your app store, download that. Whether it's tourism, cuisine, or the social scenes, if it ain't tempo, it's a rap. Who got the Caribbean views? Tempo. Mr. Latest in Caribbean news. Tempo. You tryna cook Caribbean food? Tempo. You know they got the music videos too. Tempo. Who got the Caribbean views? Tempo. Mr. Latest in Caribbean news. Tempo. You tryna cook Caribbean food? Tempo. You know they got the music videos too. Tempo.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Coaxum Report. This is Terry Coaxum. For those of you that are just joining us on the Marketing Coaxum Report, you can also download our app and watch us weekly. You can also catch us on Roku. You can catch us on Android and Fire. I am talking today. My special guest is Jeffrey Sidness. He's the founder and CEO of Redline 360 Fitness. And I'm super excited about this conversation. We started out this conversation talking about Jeff and how he got to be a part of this fitness world. And he talked about some of his own challenges with fitness and how your health is your wealth. He also went on to talk about some lifestyle changes that he had to make in order to be the best that he could be, putting his oxygen mask on first, which then resulted in the fitness business that he's in now, from the bootcamp fitness to now 360. We also talked about some of the barriers to access to capital. We talked about barriers, and Jeff didn't really have any barriers in his business. He talked more about best practices, talked about community, being a part of the community, talking about being true to yourself, and also talked very much about the word of mouth. And we started talking about the word of mouth and the circle of influence. And we took a quick commercial break, and we're back. And Jeff, I can see Jeff had the transition. Jeff is like
transition.
I
gotta move.
So now, Jeff, we talked about circle of influence, and we really started talking a little bit about, what that circle of influence looks like. Because you said that a lot of your clients and clientele come through word of mouth. Like, you're doing more than what you're asked to do, and as a result of that, individuals are talking up 360 Redline 360 Fitness and involving others into what they're doing, simply because they want to get healthier. They see the results in the programs that you're creating for them. And again, anybody that just tuned into us, please make sure before following any fitness plan that you're checking with your doctor to make sure that it's appropriate to you. This is not medical information. This is not a cookie cutter approach for everybody. This is just testimony and the 360 business that he's doing right now and how he's been successful. So, Jeff, want to talk more about some of the best practices. What are some of the other best practices that you're able to utilize in order to strengthen your business, build your business, and grow your business? We talked about your circle of influence being like one of the number one practices that you're using to build and grow out your business. What are some of the other best practices?
Correct. So something that I found which was extremely important is you never let money be the bottom line, right? Health is the bottom line. I'll give you a perfect example. So there was once upon a time I was working with a young lady, and she said to me that, she couldn't afford to pay me for what it is that she was asking me to do for her. But she was in serious need and she really needed help, right? So I said to the lady, you know what? For you, because I want to make sure that you get healthy, because there's no price on health, right? There's no real price for health. So I worked with this lady for 6 months for free. I got 20 clients out of that. Because people were so amazed at the fact that I was willing to go that far to help another individual. And they saw the results that she received, right? Because at that point, if somebody's helping you, you're going to give, especially if you're not paying anything, you're going to give it your all, right? Let's be blunt. You're going to give it your all. So she gave it her all. She saw fantastic and phenomenal results. 20 clients. Can you hear me?
Sorry about that. I don't know why I was on mute. I did hear you, right? So one of the other best practices that you're able to utilize is doing more than what you're paid for. So in this
Yes.
case, actually, you were able to help this young woman in her fitness goal or her fitness endeavor. She wasn't able to pay you at that time. She
Correct.
wasn't able to pay you in money, but she paid you in referrals and referring 20 additional clients because one, they saw her success, right? They saw what you were able to accomplish with her on the program that you were on a program with her, and then two, you were able to work with them individually. It's not a cookie cutter approach, everybody. So when Jeff is training you and he's working with you, it is a individual assessment of what your needs are, and then he's working with you from where you are to where you want to get to. So he looks at your goals and he makes sure that he's working hard to get you in those goals. So another best practice is doing more than what you're paid for. Are there any other additional best practices, Jeff, that you want to share?
Results. You just have to be able to really hone in and make sure that everybody that you're with sees some type of positive physical change, some type of positive mental, emotional, spiritual change.
That's right.
And everything else will take care of itself.
Okay. Okay. So results. And so when I think about results, I really think about a blueprint or a map, right? Of
Correct.
where I'm going, right? I think about, if I say, if I make a commitment to myself that this is what I want to do, I also have a vision of what that looks like as a quote unquote result, right? So
Correct.
when I'm thinking about it, especially when it comes to my health, right? I think about it from the standpoint of, where I am and where I'm going, and then how do I get there in these increments, right? It's not happening overnight. I didn't gain weight overnight. I didn't lose weight overnight, depending on which one I'm trying to do, right? So how do I get to my end result, to what I want to see? A lot of times, Jeff, I do vision boards, right? I put a vision board. I put down, what I want to look like, how I want to feel. I even write down I feel so good when I am, whatever that magic number is for me. And I
Uh-huh.
find myself working closely with my accountability partner, which is my trainer, to get to that result. So results show up, right? You're actually able to see in your process what what you're looking to accomplish. You're able to see it in your process. Correct? I think we're having some more technical difficulties with Jeff, but this is really a good conversation around health and wellness and just making sure that we are putting ourselves first. Jeff first started talking about um, his health journey, right? And he went from talking about his health journey on to talking about how he was able to accomplish the things that he's able to accomplish by just changing. The first thing he did was change his diet, making sure that he was eating to live and not living to eat, which was really very important in his process, right? And so he was able to go from like 275 pounds down to 190 without working out. But the great thing about it is the way he felt about it, right? He felt so much healthier. He felt so much stronger. He was able to take all of those things that he did and turn them into success by creating and starting boot camp fitness and now into 360 training. And so, it really is a pleasure to have Jeff join us today to talk about some of his various best practices and big ideas. And for all of those that are tuning into us right now, I am so happy to be a part of this show. So we just finished talking to Jeff. Jeff Sidness, founder and CEO of Redline 360 Fitness. He dropped a lot of great nuggets about what he's looking to do as far as training individuals, training young people. He talked about some of the barriers, the best practices. Let's talk about some big ideas. I know, the time is almost up, but before we get to the end of our show, I want to talk about some of these big ideas, Jeff. So what are some of the big ideas in your industry and in your field that you'd like to share with the listening audience? And remember, I think I may or may not have told you. So my listening audience is throughout all the Caribbean,
Nice.
Southeast Asia, and here in the United States. And so you're able to share some of your various best practices and big ideas across the nation. So what are some of the big ideas that you want to share before we jump off of the Zoom today, of the show today?
So I have one current big idea right now, which is to get people fit and in shape,
Hmm.
and to put them up in the air, to allow them
Oh, up
to
in the
travel.
air, up in the
Yeah,
air.
allow them to travel,
Okay.
because at the end of the day, it's all about the world seeing you, right? And there's a lot of similarities between and comparisons between fitness and travel, right? If you want to think of the world as a body, right? Just think of a plane, a boat, a train, um, a car, right?
Mhm.
As cells in the body. And just think of the road as veins and arteries of the body, which these vehicles travel through, right?
Right.
To me, it's the same concept as, if I'm getting in shape, I want to make sure that everything is flowing, everything is moving. Things have to keep moving. They can't stay in one place. So I want to be able to get somebody in the best shape of their life, put them on the best beach that they've ever been to, put them best vacation they ever had in their life, to show off. Because that's what life is about, showing off your results. Because if
So
you're the
now,
only one that
how
know
are you
it,
gonna measure that though? How are you gonna get them to that point where they're able to measure that, right? Because you're talking about putting them up in the air, and so the first thing I thought about when you said up in the air, I compared it to weight, to obesity, to your quality of life, and how you're not able to travel, in those little small airplane seats if you're a certain weight or a certain height or a certain, if your health isn't up to par, and or you have some kind of device to help you move around. So when you said up in the air, that's where
oh
my
yeah,
head, that's right where I went to. I went to improving your health to the point that you can get on a plane and be up in the air and go to wherever you want, wherever, if that's a beach, if that's Alaska, wherever that is, right? So
travel fit.
that's right. That's
That's
right.
it. It's just traveling fit, right?
Right.
That's the best way to protect yourself at the end of the day, if you travel fit,
Wow.
right? So that's what we're doing. So we're hosting. So I'm looking to host a competition now where I have about 25 people,
Mhm.
and whoever comes in with the best results, I'm sending you on the best vacation you ever had in your life.
Listen, sign me up. Just sign
Show
me
it
up.
off. Show
Sign
it
me
off. Show me off. Show me off. That's right. I'm gonna be selfish. Show me off.
sign me up. Sign me up. So one of your big ideas is a competition, of course, right? And we
Yes, life
talked
is a
about,
competition.
it's crazy because we get ready in our show. But the funny thing is, we started off with competition. We started
We
off by
started
talking
off with
about
competition.
boot
That's
camp
how I met
fitness
you.
and how it was a community, but it was a community and competition, right?
That's
And
right.
so now,
In
when I ask you to
competition.
share your big ideas, you're going back to competition, right? So what I hear you saying is folks are motivated when they have something to compete towards, something to look
Yes.
towards, something that involves community participation and engagement.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
That's what's up.
Yes.
That's what's up. I mean, that's really a great idea. Like I said, sign me up. I want to be a part. You're gonna send me to a beach.
Oh,
I'm
you win.
ready to go.
You win. I'm sending you
Results.
that proposal today.
That's it. Send it to me. I am down for the cause. Down for the cause. So, Jeff, this has really been a great conversation from you, a person that's been in the fitness industry for over 25 years. And again, we started off by saying that your health is truly your wealth, right? And for those of you
Correct.
that are listening today and you're looking to start some kind of health and wellness or fitness business, Jeff is a model to follow. He came in, swinging, telling us about really having that secret sauce in your community, understanding your placement, having people involved, having people engaged. And then he went from that to talking, even before that, he talked about his own journeys with health and how it got him to the part of following the community. And Jeff, truth be told, even taking you to Baba was a community effort. Like the young man saw you outside, he saw your face, and he's like, let me take you to this person who can offer you can offer you an extension on life, so to speak, by offering
Correct.
you the supplements and herbs and spices that can really get you back on track with your energy and your health and your immune system, right? And so you went from that to actually starting boot camp fitness before boot camp fitness was popular, before circuit training was popular, and seeing the results, having the community come together, being engaged. And then from that to working with the young people, which has always been a passion, working with young people, safe on our streets, making sure that they have the access and the resources to be productive citizens, and then moving from that to where you are now with Redline 360. So this has really been a labor of love, it sounds like, for you in this fitness industry, because you're able to change people's lives in your lifetime. And so now your big idea is going to be to have this fitness competition to put people up in the air to show off the results of whatever they're looking to do. And so I'm so glad to be a part of this. And can you leave just one note with our listening audience? What is that going to be?
Love yourself first.
Love
That's
yourself.
my one note. Love yourself first. Love you. You can't love anybody until you love yourself.
That's powerful.
Which means you won't give anybody everything that they deserve until you start giving yourself what you deserve.
That's what's up. That really is a powerful last thought for those of you that are listening in. I'm talking to Jeff Sidnez of Redline 360 Fitness here in New York City. He's been on an amazing journey, making sure that he's leaving a legacy of excellent health. And so, Jeff, I want to thank you so much for being a part of the Coaxum Report. And I look forward to catching up with you again soon in this competition that you are about to put people up in the air in. So for our listening audience, thank you so much for tuning in today. Have a super amazing day on purpose. Join us again next week for the Coaxum Report. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.